Wait for it. Wait for it. I'm waiting. It's a long wait. I'm watching the clock. There we go. It is time for Astronomy Daily Live. It is 2 hours UTC, and you can call me Cosmic. Hey, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well today. This spin around this little tiny little planet that just so uh, happens to um, encompass our entire existence. Hope everybody's doing well. Jump on into the circle of friends here who are sharing a common passion for the science of astronomy. Grab your favorite consumable and let's gather around and turn off the TV and forget about the news and let's think about stars and planets and galaxies and globular clusters and radial velocities and O stars and B stars and M stars and binary stars and nebulae and plasma and exotic supernovae and white dwarfs and brown dwarfs and yellow dwarfs and red giants and oh, triple stars and open clusters and globular clusters, spiral galaxies, elliptical galaxies, irregular galaxies, dwarf galaxies, companion galaxies, galaxies that are spread across 20 degrees of the sky, comets, comets. Have you seen a great comet in your lifetime? Do you even know what a great comet is? Do you think that uh, what was the big bright one? Not so big. Um, uh, I forget now. There was a there was a bright one a few years ago that got everybody really excited. And I was like, where is it? I mean, it was bright, but it wasn't big. It wasn't big. I'm talking about if have you ever seen those I think they call them like wood carvings from like the 1700s, the 1800s, where you had this big comet, big massive fire and going all the way across the sky, right? That's a great comet. That's a great comet. You ever seen a great comet in your lifetime? Well, I've been lucky enough to be able to see an actual great comet. It was Hayukatake back in 19, I want to say 19. I'm looking at a picture of it here that a very good friend of mine took, astrophotographer took. Hold hold on. So May 25th, 1996, comet Hayukatake was just through passing through the tail of the Big Dipper. So it was very far north and it was very close. Yeah, hail Bob, hail Bob. That was Uncle Bill. Everybody got really excited about Hail Bob because it was some, you know, bright comet. Bright comet. It was really bright. Please, please. Hey, now, let me tell you something, okay? Comets are awesome. Every single comet is very cool, and you can go out right now, tonight, right? And with a telescope, you can see one or two comets, okay? With a big scope, you can see even more. There are thousands and thousands of comets, right? In fact, we have spacecraft that are constantly looking at the sun, right? Constantly looking at the sun. And I think they've seen over 3,000 comets plummeting in to the sun, never to come out, right? They just go in and they don't come out. Now some of them do, right? One of the most exciting comets that I ever saw, besides um, um, Hayukatake, is uh, um, uh, was Comet Lovejoy, one of the comets named Lovejoy. This is the one that actually went around the sun. It got intensely bright, but it was so close to the sun that we really couldn't see it all that bright. But these spacecraft saw it, and it zipped all the way around. I think yeah, it did make it all the way around. I think. Uh, Heptacular Raptor. Uh, How could you dream that we were all made out of stone? What is the truth? What is the faithful, lasting proof? What is the central theme to this everlasting proof? Looking at the sun, 3,000 comets into the sun. That's very poetic there, Heb. I like it. I like it. I heard you were into music and whatnot, and I gotta say that if you follow me on Twitter, okay, my handle there is Astro and Music, right? My thing, my thing. I've got two things, right? Um, well, okay. Well, see, now it's just exploded. I love music. I pretty much love all music. Um, there's sort of a continuum, sort of a spectrum where, some music I don't like as much as others, right? But um, my favorite kind of music, um, bar none, bar none, is surprise, surprise, space music. So space music, ambient, um, Brian Eno, um, Klaus Schultz, um, then the more modern ones like, um, uh, um, well, John Seary. Um, I want to say, he just lives over in Tucson. He's one of my favorites. Um, uh, uh, you get into these kinds of situations where, you're not thinking about things, and all of a sudden, you have to come up with stuff, and it just completely uh, goes out of your goes out of your mind. Um, but that's why I encourage everyone to listen to on Sundays, um, Music from the Hearts of Space. Um, Puts their weekly show out for free. Okay, so all day Sunday, you can listen to this week's episode of Music from the Hearts of Space. And Music from the Hearts of Space has been um, doing their thing since the early 80s, right? Ever since sort of electronic music um, came out. And yeah, and I've been listening to them pretty much ever since they went national. They went national in about, I want to say, like 1983, 1984, 1985, and that's when I first heard of them. And I've been listening to them pretty much every single week since. So what is that, like 30 some years? Yeah, a long, long, long time. Is that 30 years or 40 years? 30 years, I guess. Yeah. Um, so and usually they put together a pretty good hour-long show. Um, some of their stuff, some of their themes, most of their shows have a theme, right? A theme of some sort, and some of their themes, it's kind of like, well, yeah, because uh, they've been moving sort of recently, maybe in the past 10 years or so, more towards ethnic and cultural music, which a lot of it is extremely interesting and extremely neat because the scales are different, right? I mean, we Westerners have sort of our 8 scales, right? Mixolydian, Lydian, um, all the other ones. The major scale, the minor scale, and we sort of stick to that, and we stick to 12 half tones, between octaves and all that kind of stuff. And as a musician, right, I know, well, as um, uh, as a physicist, right, I know that there's an infinite number of frequencies between any any two frequencies, and certainly between octaves. But there are some certain things like octaves are doubling, right, and fifths are 1.5, and that's just a mathematical, that's sort of a geometrical thing. Um, but yeah, there is Bobby Burgess. You go to. I'm going to share my screen. I will show you. I will show you. Um, let's go over here because I'm not going to show this one. What you do is you go to hos.com. And I think, now I'm pretty sure that nothing is free, Bobby. So I think you have to sign up. You have to give them something, right? You have to give them an email. Um, Otherwise, you're going to come in as a guest. And I think guests don't get the quote unquote free um, weekly program. But if you sign up, and it's free, to sign up. You just have to give away your um, email. Um, then you can listen to the free episode on Sunday. Now there are different plans as well, right? You can get, and these are paid plans, right? So I think for like $100 a year, you can have full access to all of their shows anytime you want, right? I think that's what that is. There's a standard service, there's a basic service, there's a budget service, on and on and on, right? But and I've done those in the past, and I think they're really awesome. I mean, if you want to, sort of, I mean, what I like to do is I like to um, basically get into a meditative state and then just have this sound playing through the headphones, and it's very nice. It takes you on amazing inward journeys, which are very cool. So but what I do is I Sundays, I will, you know, I did the same thing as a kid, right? I had my tape recorder and a microphone, and I would tune to, um, uh, uh, what was his name? The um, top 40, Casey Kasem, right? Casey Kasem and America's Top 40. Is that what it was called? And any of the songs that I liked, I would just record, right? I would record on tape, cassette tape, and then I actually had a reel to reel as well, which really recorded things really nice. And then I would listen to them. So I'm doing exactly the same thing now. I'm sure I'm breaking copyright law by copying these songs and blah 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 blah. But look, I'm not playing them for anyone else. I'm not selling them. I'm not doing anything else. I'm just recording them so I can listen to them whenever I want, right? And yes, Music from the Hearts of Space is losing money because I'm not subscribing, right? Okay, sorry. I'm a cheapskate. I'm just a poor, um, struggling astronomer, right? So you know, me coming up with $100 a year for that, sorry, I can't afford it. Um, so what I do is I record um, that week's show, and then at my convenience, I listen to it, and I put it on my smartphone uh, and listen to it, whenever I want, right? And it's usually extremely nice. So yeah, check out Music from the Hearts of Space. So space music for sure is top of the line um, for me in terms of music, right? But what I also like doing is I like taking data, right? Now this can be um, astronomical data. It can be weather data. It can be telemetry from spacecraft. It can be uh, anything, right? Any data. Um, it can be stock prices. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I take that data and I turn it into sound. And sometimes that sound actually does sound like music. So, I do draw a distinction between sound and music. And it's sort of a fine line, right? My fan here behind me is in all intents and purposes making a sound. It's not necessarily making music. Now, I can listen to this, right? I can listen to this fan, right? And I can, concentrate on the sound and I can hear music, right? So, there's sort of a fine line there. So that's what I like doing. Now, I'm also a musician, primarily keyboard, right? So I have a Roland Phantom X8, and it can do everything. It can do everything, every single thing that you can possibly imagine. Full synthesis, um, sampling, um, sequencing, all of it. Now it is digital, right? So I have to start with a sample, right? But I can take that sample and completely change it. So it isn't, you know, exactly like a Moog where it's like basically have like an oscillator and then go from there. I've got to start from a sample, but I can you know basically dumb that sample down such that it's more or less is like a VCO, and then I can build from that. So but yeah, I'm very much into composition. I don't do it as much as I want, but for the most part, my compositions are space music. Surprise, surprise. Um, I love rock and roll. Pretty much all rock and roll. Um, the you know the the modern stuff today is it at least the popular stuff is very manufactured and very boring, at least um, to me. But if you dig just sort of under the surface, and then dig a little bit deeper down, the deeper down you go, the more amazing modern music is. There are some incredible musicians out there killing it. You know, not only with rock and roll, but yeah, rock. Um, I like old country, new country, yeah, not too much. Everything classical, everything classical. There really isn't a classical composer or song that I don't like. Um, I haven't heard one yet. Getting back to rock and roll, really quick. There are very few bands that I like every single song that I hear, but one of them that comes to mind, um, VCO, is voltage controlled oscillator. That's sort of the fundamental. Um, Moogs work that way. Most analog synthesizers work off of voltage control um, oscillator, where I think with Moog they sort of specify that 1 volt, one change in voltage, one you know going from 1 volts to 2 volts is going to change you by 1 octave. I think that's how that works. But the one band in rock and roll that I've yet to find a song that I don't like is Yes, and it's kind of interesting that it's a band that I didn't mention yesterday what my second favorite word is. My second favorite word is yes. Okay, my first number one favorite word is no. Oh, you know what? I forgot to tweet that I'm going live, so I'm gonna do that now, even though it's see, I get talking here and it's like whoosh, gone, but I'm gonna tweet it anyway. Tweet. There we go. Okay, cool. Um, but so my second favorite word is yes, and it just so happens to be one of the very few bands that I found that I like every single one of their songs. Now I don't have all their albums or anything. I've got a few of them, and every single song I hear, it's like, wow, that is really a good song. Now they're incredible musicians, right? Um, and music and physics and science are so related that I can't imagine being interested in physics and math and not um, also being completely fascinated by music. Um, and our ears are amazing devices. The dynamic range um, that we can hear is astonishing. It's absolutely astonishing. Um, you know, uh, uh, and then the frequency range isn't too bad either. Not too bad. But yeah. So sound is an amazing thing, and sound depends on the medium through which it moves. So that makes it interesting too. So yeah, very cool. I got off. I don't know how I got off on that. I was talking about music from the hearts of space, and yeah, I can just nerd out on music. So I think it was Hip. I think Hip said something about music, and that just set me off on a tangent. Cheers. And I think if music makes you happy and allows you to have fun, then it is worth it. It is worth it. And I'm lucky enough, to be able to play it. I can read music. I can compose it. So I'm so lucky, that I'm able to do that. And some people, sort of doodle and do it really, really well. Well, I definitely doodle with music. Now, I cannot claim that I do it extremely well, but once in a while, it's like, yeah, wow, that sounds pretty good. Pretty good. So, yeah. All right. What I wanted to talk about tonight um, is, since it's the beginning of May, I thought it'd be useful to sort of go through the May astronomical events for this month. And look, I uh, I tried last month, and I think I got through to, I think I did it a couple episodes, and I want to, I just don't want to necessarily fly through things. I sort of want to go through stuff, not necessarily to educate, but to just, let you know what these terms mean, and because you can look at, something sort of as simple as a um, sky calendar for, the month of May 2018, and you go through there, and there's terminology that it's like, what is that? What is that? So, and it's also a great way just to talk all things astronomical. So, yeah, yeah, hail, hail, rock and roll, you bet. I've played in a few bands, and played out a few times. We never um, uh, band all the bands that I've been in have always sort of fallen apart, either right before or soon after we started playing, and I can tell you it wasn't me. It wasn't me, because I think that's great fun. I think it's great. I mean, just like I'm doing now, I like to share what I think is fun and neat, and cool, right? But some people can't handle that. They feel, the pressure of performing, and yeah, they just can't handle it, and they fall apart. And okay, all right, it's sort of a bummer for, the rest of us who want to keep going. But yeah, and I mean, what I should do is just solo, right? I mean, I've got this board that can do everything, right? I mean, I can have, lots of accompaniment. I could definitely do a live thing. Anyway, I'm not going to get back into music. Let's talk astronomy. So I'm going to share my screen, and big shout out to cloudynights.com. Okay, cloudynights.com is a really, really awesome website. Um, mainly amateurs, but amateurs are, there are different levels of amateurs, right? There are the casual ones, and there are the pretty intense ones, and Cloudy Nights has all of them, and this is an extremely active active site. So, I mean, minute by minute, there are new posts and, replies, I mean, everything else. So it's really a great site. I mean, if you don't um, get enough astronomy just um, by participating in this live stream every day. Get on to Cloudy Nights, because they are extremely awesome. Cloudynights.com. Yeah. Um, Extremely awesome. You will be part of a great community. So let's see. I'm gonna try. Okay, we've got maybe half an hour here or so. I'm gonna try to get through this entire month. So here, uh, this great guy, Dave Mitski, puts together this calendar every month, and my hat's off, because this is not an easy task. This is definitely not an easy task. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't know Dave, but thanks, Dave. You're awesome, and my guess is that he's been doing this for a long time, and he's extremely dedicated, and he thinks he's doing a service, and he definitely is. So awesome, very very awesome. Let's see. Now, May 1st is Beltane, and he's calling it a cross quarter day. Now, I honestly have no idea what a cross quarter day is. So yeah, if somebody knows what a cross quarter day is, let me know. Uh, let's see. So May, let's see. Well, this show starts at 2 hours UTC. Um, so like right now, it is 2:31 UTC on May 3rd. On May 3rd, although me being over here in southeastern Arizona, United States, I'm 7 hours behind UTC. So for me, it's 7:32 p.m. on May 2nd still. So, but all these times are UTC times. Yeah, I figured it was um, some kind of a Wiccan thing. I I just never heard of a cross quarter day before. I know that Beltane is a big deal. Yeah. Um, let's see. So on May 2nd, um, the moon got pretty close to um, Antares, and Venus uh, was relatively close, 6.5 degrees north of Aldebaran. Aldebaran, yeah. Make sure if you may, depends on what time it is right now, but if you look to your west after sunset, starting maybe a half an hour or an hour after sunset, just look, pretty much due west, and you'll see a big bright star up there. Well, that's not a star, that's the planet Venus. So check that out. And I guess yesterday it got pretty close to Aldebaran. That's pretty cool. So on the 4th at 20 hours UTC, the moon is going to be really, really close to Saturn. So, the reason why the moon usually gets relatively close to the planets is that the moon and the planets are all sort of in the same plane, right? It's like a big flat plate, and there's these marbles rolling around on it, and so yeah, if they're all um, orbiting more or less on the same plane, then once in a while they are going to appear, to be relatively close to one another. And 1.7 degrees is about 3 lunar diameters away, so that's pretty close. So if you're up in the morning, um, take a look at that. It's going to be closest, right? It's going to be 1.7 degrees at 20 hours UTC. See, so for me, that's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's, I'm not going to be able to see it when it's at its closest. But I can get up on the morning of the 4th, or the morning of the 4th, and okay, that's going to be what, 6 hours or so earlier or so. So the moon moves pretty quickly. It moves about 15 degrees a day, right? You can sort of work that out. What you do is you reach for your scientific calculator, right? And all good scientists have an actual calculator within arm's reach at all times. At all times. So if you don't have one, you're not a good scientist, right? So 360 degrees to go all the way around, and a lunar cycle is about 29 days, right? So the moon moves about 12.4 degrees per day, or about half a degree per hour, right? Half a degree per hour. So if I'm going to get up on the 4th, on the morning of the 4th, and look at the moon and Saturn, then the moon is actually going to be what this is happening. Say I get up my local time at 6 a.m. I can't see it at 6 a.m. because it's too bright still. So let's say 5 a.m. Okay. Well, 5 a.m. is 12 hours UTC, which is 8 hours before this time. So if the moon is moving half a degree an hour, and multiply that by 8, that's 4 degrees. So yeah, I mean, it's still going to appear pretty close, but I'm definitely not going to see it at its closest. So, so be it. So be it. Some people will definitely be able to see that, but not on my side of the planet. It'd have to be on the opposite side of the planet in order to see that. So let's see. On the 5th, the Eta Aquariid meteor shower peaks. So there's a website that I showed you a few episodes ago where you can go and watch the meteor rates. So this is one to look up, and if you're so inclined to follow, I think I've got a link to it over on my Discord server as well. So you can find a link to that down in the description below this video, and you can just do a search for meteor shower, and I think you might be able to find it that way. So let's see. This is pretty cool. Moon, Mars, and Pluto lie within 4.8 degrees of each other, also on the 5th. So on the 6th of May, the moon is at what's called apogee. And apogee is the point in the orbit of the moon as it's going around the Earth where the moon is furthest away. It's furthest away. So it's going to appear at its smallest, right? That's why he's saying, that it's subtending 29 minutes, 32 seconds in size, and it's 404,457 kilometers away from the Earth. Now, I think that's from the center of the Earth, if I remember right. The interesting thing, just to put sort of things in perspective, right, is that the orbit of Io, the innermost Galilean moon of Jupiter, orbits Jupiter at about 420,000 kilometers. So it's about the same distance from the center of the Earth to the moon as it is from the center of Jupiter to Io. So that's pretty cool. And at that time, right, at 0 hours 35 minutes, the moon is furthest away. And then a few hours later, It's 2.7 degrees north of Mars. Pretty cool. So on May 7th, the moon is at descending node. Descending node is nothing more than when it crosses the celestial um, equator, moving down. So its declination, the moon's declination is at 0 degrees and is going down. It's going down. Let's see, last quarter is on the 8th at 2:09 UTC. So, maybe I'll try to remember on the 8th at 2:09 because that's actually during this live stream. That last quarter, I call that third quarter, but it's the same thing. Which is also sort of a misnomer too. Quarter. I mean, there's sort of a logical explanation for that, but you know, the moon, along with everything else, is always half illuminated, but we can just see one quarter. Well, one quarter of the moon we can see as lit up, so that's why we call it a quarter. So yeah, it's just weird astronomical stuff. Uh, Vesta is stationary, which means it's not moving. Um, and there's an interesting explanation for that too. I'm gonna leave some of these mysteries. Maybe you can do some research yourself and find out what is going on there. Let's see. There's some objects on the moon. The Curtis Cross is a particular thing on the moon. So on the 9th, Vesta, the asteroid Vesta, is at perihelion. And perihelion is the point in its orbit where it's closest to the sun. Closest. So 2.1517 astronomical units. And of course, an astronomical unit is the average distance between the Earth and the sun. So at its closest, right, at its closest, Vesta is still twice as far away from the sun as the Earth. That's all that's saying there. Hey, and on the 9th, 3 cheers, Jupiter is at opposition. Yay. It's always very, very cool when Jupiter or any of the planets are at opposition, because what that means is that Jupiter is now rising when the sun sets. It's completely on the opposite side of the sky as the sun, which also means that the Earth is directly between the sun and Jupiter. So just to give you a little bit of perspective there. So it's at its closest point. It's going to be this year, and it looks big, right? 44.8 arc seconds across. That is huge. That is huge. I need to look up how close it's going to be, but I want to say something like 600 million miles or so, something like that. And of course, very, very bright. Negative 2.5. That's pretty bright. Let's see, on the 10th, the moon is 2.1 degrees south-southwest of Neptune. And also on the 10th, Jupiter is closest to the Earth. There it is, 4.4 astronomical units or so. So yeah, kind of interesting that, and we'll need to think about this a little bit, right? Jupiter is at opposition at 0 hours UTC, but it doesn't get closest to the Earth until 12 hours later. I wonder if that's a magic number of some sort. That seems to be pretty coincidental. Honestly, I'm not quite sure what the difference is there. Maybe I'll try to find out. Or so that's happening on the 10th. Um, so there's just a nice little alignment of the innermost planet and the next to last outer planet. Um, let's see. On the 13th, Mercury is as low as it's going to get on the ecliptic plane. The ecliptic plane is this plane where all the planets um, orbit the sun. It was the same thing I was describing before about that. And the moon, Mercury, and Uranus lie within a circle of 4.44 degrees. Blah 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 blah. Okay. Um, the equation of time equals 3.65 minutes at 3 hours UTC. Time is one of those concepts that if you want to get into astronomy, you have to have a pretty good grasp of. And I sort of use it as a entry fee, an entry filter into this live stream. Right? I tell you that this live stream is happening at 2 hours UTC every single day, and it's up to you to figure out what local time that is, and it's your entry point into this incredible world of all things astronomical. So yeah, check out and try to understand what the equation of time is, because it's very cool. It's very cool. Okay, so the sun enters Taurus at that time on the 14th. New moon is on the 15th, and that's of course when the moon is between the Earth and the sun. So the moon and the sun basically rise at the same time and are in pretty close alignment. So really, pretty much impossible to see uh, when the sun is up. The moon is right there too. You're not going to see it. You're not going to see it. Yes, timing is everything. Let's see. How am I doing here? Oh, I'm doing pretty well. I think I'm halfway through the month, and I've only got a few minutes left. I'm trying not to rush. Trying not to rush too much. Um, haven't been distracted too much in this list yet, so we're chugging along. Hope it's moderately moderately interesting. um, so yeah, the moon's going to get pretty close to the Pleiades on the 15th. Not incredibly close. 8.7 degrees is yeah. Um, so Venus is at perihelion, right, which is the closest it's going to get to the sun this time around at 23 hours on the 15th. Um, and again, it just keeps going around and around and around. The moon on the 16th is just, you know, less less than a degree and a half north of Aldebaran. Um, and it looks like if you're in northernmost Russia, you might be able to actually see the moon pass in front of that star, and that's what a occultation is. It's one object passing in front of another. Um, yeah. So on the 17th, the moon is at perigee. Perigee is the opposite of um, 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 apogee. Hey there, Jill. Nice to see you in the chat. No worries about being late. We're just going over some events going on, all things astronomical in the next month or so, and I'm trying to get through the entire month. So I'm hoping not to rush too much. But last month, I think I got through like the first 2 or 3 entries, and then I never got back to it. So I'm um, trying to go through these maybe slightly faster. Although I hate to rush things. I hate it. So on the 17th. Um, at 2105 UTC, the moon is at perigee. So that's the point in the orbit of the moon going around the sun, where the moon is at its closest point. So it's going to look pretty big, right? 32 minutes, 51 seconds. You recall that apogee. Where was apogee? Uh, Apogee was, here it is. See, is 29 minutes, 32 seconds. Now it's 32 minutes, 51 seconds. So obviously, uh, when it gets closer, it looks bigger. And that's why everybody talks about these so-called super moons. Well, okay, you can call it whatever you want, but what it actually is a perigee moon. And a perigee moon happens every single month. Okay, don't be fooled by this thing where it's really rare and all this kind of stuff. No, every single time that the moon orbits the Earth, it goes through a perigee when it's closest. Now, to coincide that with a full moon, okay, that's when everybody always gets excited, right? Because um, if the moon is going to be full and it's going to be bigger than normal, but as you can see, it's like 10% larger in terms of diameter, right? So, yes, it is visibly brighter because we're talking about area, right? And area goes as the square of the radius. So there's a lot more area, and there's a lot more um, um, reflectance then, right? Because it's just bigger. But anyway, so that is perigee. That happens every single month. And as you can see, it gets pretty close, right? 363,000 compared to 404,000. So, 40,000 kilometers difference between apogee and perigee. So that's moving. That's definitely moving. Let's see. It passes next Pollux, which is one of the bright stars in Gemini. Goes next to the Beehive cluster on the 20th. So then it goes into um, ascending node, which is also when it's at 0 degrees declination, but now it's heading north, right? It's heading north instead of descending node when it's heading south in terms of declination, right? So there it's an ascending node. Um, so Venus gets pretty close to M35. So this would be a great photographic possibility. Um, M35 is a big, huge cluster over in Gemini. Really, really big. Need a pretty wide field of view um, telescope, to see the whole thing. But I wouldn't be surprised that come the 22nd or 23rd that we don't see some pretty cool shots of Venus right next to M35. Cheers. All right, where are we here? 520, May 22nd. Let's see, the moon is 1.4 degrees north-northwest of the first magnitude star, Regulus. Um, So it looks like Mars goes through one of its um, equinoxes at 3 hours UTC on May 22nd, the autumnal one. So happy fall for the northern Martians and happy spring for the southern Martians. The Martian tilt, Mars's tilt, axial tilt, is really, really close to Earth's. I don't remember exactly what it is, but it's really, really, really close. Let's, you know what? See, it wouldn't be an Astronomy Daily Live if we didn't go off on at least one tangent here. Although Hip really threw me on a musical tangent a little while ago. But let's see what Mars. I wonder if Mars tilt angle we tell us here. Oh, so it's 23.5 degrees. Mars at its present 20. Okay. All right. Yeah. Um, so Mars is at 25 degrees apparently. Let's see if we can get a better number there. You know, uh, bless the University of Arizona, but let's go over to oh yeah, Mars planet. But little articles and things I'm not too keen on. Let's look at Wikipedia. Wikipedia for a lot of things is pretty good, pretty good. So yes, Hip, you did do that. That's okay though. We're sitting around having a casual conversation, and as you probably know, conversations can, especially amongst friends, can go anywhere. So who cares? Let's see. Polar radius, mean density, escape velocity, zero, axial tilt. Axial tilt, 25.19 degrees to its orbital plane. So, and the orbital plane, is essentially exactly the same as the Earth. So yeah, it's at 25.2 degrees. The Earth is what, 23.5 degrees. So yeah, anyway, happy spring, happy fall to all the Martians there. So that's very, very cool. First quarter moon, 3:49 UTC. So Venus is going to be at its highest declination north at 6 hours UTC. And again, we can see these shapes on the moon. Um, there's another interesting lunar event on the 23rd. The Twitch, the Twitch gaming community is 99 degrees tilted. Yeah, I never got into gaming, and I probably never, ever will. Yeah, just not my thing. I know it's extremely popular though, extremely popular, and you know, as it is with most things, my attitude is like this. Okay, if you're having fun, if you're having fun, then I am happy. I mean that is the greatest thing in the world. So, uh, uh, if you have an incredible amount of joy gaming, uh, that is very cool. That is very, very cool. Make sure to like eat and drink and sleep sometimes at least, because then you'll probably enjoy gaming even more. So Just saying. Just saying. So let's see. It's a pretty close pass of the moon to Jupiter on the 27th. Full moon's on the 29th. The milk or planting moon. Okay, well, that makes sense. It is time to plant. Mercury pretty close to M45 on the 30th. And the moon and Vesta pass pretty close to one another on the 31st. And there's a lot more stuff here. Dave does this amazing job of not only, putting together these events, right? And these are periodic events. These, nothing in here is necessarily, happening once in a lifetime or anything else. Most of this stuff happens every single month. The the dates are different, the times are different, but more or less everything on here, is happening pretty regularly, pretty regularly. So, it's just, it's nice to know when these kinds of things happen. So if you want to witness them and be a part of that event, sort of, feel that event, then you can do so. So, yeah, lots of other cool things here. Let's see, the sun is located in Aries. It enters Taurus on the 14th. The reason why the sun, right, appears to move across the background sky is because the Earth is orbiting the sun, and so it's it's just like, I mean, as you're traveling down the road, right? And you look out to the side, things close by seem to move much faster than things further away. It's called parallax, and yep, there it is. There it is. Venus is in the west, Jupiter's in the southwest. Very, very cool that Jupiter is at opposition in a week. Wow. Mars is going to double in brightness. Yeah, because Mars is coming up to opposition too. I don't remember exactly when that is. Obviously not happening in May, but I think it's happening in June or July, something something like that. Yeah, Bobby, I played video games. The quarter um, video games, asteroids and Stargate, and of course, Pac-Man and all those. But really, really, if it comes down to it, okay, dude, I am a pinball guy. So my game is pinball. I love pinball. There are very, 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 very few things that I actually want. Okay. Most things I'm not too attached to, right? And most things, it's like if I've got it, okay, it's nice. If I don't, oh, it's nice. But I actually ache. I actually ache for a pinball machine, and I prefer the older ones. The older ones. But yeah, maybe someday I will have a pinball machine. I guess I don't exactly ache because if I never do have one here, that I can play whenever I want, it's not that big of a deal. So I'm exaggerating a little bit, but but uh, um, uh, but pinball is my is my thing, is my thing. Um, yeah, and just as an aside there too, when I first got my first computer, which was a Timex Sinclair ZX81, um, I used to write games on that, right? I used to write games. It had 1K of memory, and then I splurged. I splurged and got the 16K expansion thing on the back, right? So with 16K, man, I had more space than what I could possibly imagine, right? So I wrote games. I wrote games, and I kick myself now because it's like I never I never um, I never thought to develop them and market them at all. Um, it just never dawned on me, and I sort of kick myself now because I probably would have. All right, what else is going on here? Uh, Asteroid series, blah 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 blah, and then look at all these links. Okay, I mean this Dave Dave is just awesome, right? I mean, look at all this stuff: free star maps, celestial events transpiring each week, um, events that are taking place inside of our solar system. It's just on and on and on and on. Um, and then he gets into you know making observations, right? uh, Binary stars and multiple stars that are visible in May at sort of a reasonable time, right? These are all in Virgo, um, Ursa Major, Coma Berenices, Hydra. So they're all sort of up in the early evenings when it's convenient to see them. Of course, this is galaxy season, right? This is galaxy season. So I I would say that most of these NGC objects here are galaxies. Um, most of them in Virgo, I would say. Um, M3 is a globular. Um, NGC 4565. If you've never seen NGC 4565, either photographically or by eye, I definitely encourage you to take a look at that. It is one of the most spectacular edge-on galaxies that you will ever see. And to be able to make that actual physical connection by looking at it through a telescope live. It's just it just I mean I have looked at this object hundreds of times, right? And every single time, I mean, just thinking about it now, it's like, oh my God, it's awesome. It is very awesome. So take a look at that. Take a look at a photograph of it. Google it, right? You can um, cheat a little bit if you want, and take a look at it that way. But if you ever get a chance, to go to a star party, ask the astronomer there if you can look at NGC 4565. It's sort of easy to remember, because it sort of rhymes, right? 4565. Um, so they're usually pretty happy to point to something that isn't the moon or a planet, and if it can be seen, um, those amateur astronomers will let you look. So ask for it by name, and you will not be disappointed. And even in a 6-inch scope or an 8-inch scope, it's very cool. If you can look at it through like a 14 or a 16 or a 20 or more, it's even better, right? It's even better. So, all right, I think that it is time for me to exit. And, I greatly respect your time, and I greatly appreciate the fact that you all come in here and, gather around, the circle of friends, and, you know, have a drink or some kind of consumable. Cheers. and just talk astronomy for a little while. Forget about all of our earthly things and think about the universe and think about science and think about what it all means and just be in absolute awe, because I mean that's what it's all about, is just like, wow, what an incredible place we find ourselves in. And we need to figure out a way to make it better, right? Quit all this big fighting and stuff. We're right on this edge of destroying ourselves, and it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. So let's not do that, right? Um, uh, let's find a better way, because things could be so awesome, right? Things can be so incredibly awesome. Um, so let's try to figure out a way of doing that, and let's let the universe help us by just being blown away by what's out there, and what our position is in that as well. We're a part of this, and Carl Sagan said that we are a way for the cosmos to know itself, and I think that's awesome. I think that's very, very awesome, and it's very profound, right? He sort of had a way of doing that. So yeah, very, very cool. And I think science, Gilles, is a tool, right? It's a tool, but we definitely need more than just science, right? We need um, big imagination. We need courage. We need love. Um, uh, uh, we need art. We need music. Um, and let's just try, as they say, let's try to get along. Try to get along. There's more than enough to go around. We don't have to have these big fights over resources. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. As an astronomer, right, I look out into the universe, and it's all I see. I mean, I see beauty. I see order and structure and pattern and everything else. But the other thing that I see is stuff. I see a shitload of stuff. There is so much material. There's so much energy, um, that it is for, you know, I mean, uh, as far as we little humans go, it's infinite, right? So there's an infinite amount of resources in terms of material and um, energy. We don't we don't need to worry about that kind of stuff. Now we need to be able to figure out how to use it, how to get it, how to process it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it's all there. It's all there, and maybe not all of it is for us, right? I mean, if somebody else out there needs it, we can certainly share, because there's there is more than enough. There's more than enough for everybody. Everybody. So let's quit this silly, big fights. Now humans are always going to fight, right? Because I'm going to insult you, um, you're going to insult me. I don't like how you do certain things, so I'm not going to talk to you, and all of that. So humans are always going to you know squabble a little bit, but fighting over land and resources and water and energy and all that, that's ridiculous. That's the stupidest thing in the world. So just a few of us have to realize that, and things are going to tilt. So I'm just doing my part here, evangelizing a little bit and saying, exactly what Buckminster Fuller said um, 80 years ago. and he said it until his death in 1983 or so, and that is that there is more than enough to go around. There's more than enough to go around, and um, uh, look, the universe does everything with no effort whatsoever. So that should be our goal, doing more and more and more with less and less and less. And we've been doing this, right? We've been doing this for, you know, at least hundreds of years, if not thousands of years, doing more and more and more with less and less and less. We can do this. We can do it. And it'll be great. It'll be very, very awesome. All right. I'm going to get off of my soapbox. Sorry about that. Sorry about being so preachy. But, sometimes we just have to, let our friends know where we stand, and things can be so much better. Things can be just incredibly better. So we just need to, realize this and get on with things. Quit fighting so much. All right. Speaking of not fighting, peace, cheers, and all that. I will see you on the spin a little less than 23 hours from now. All right. Take care, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.